my motherfucker. So my next question is, what can you do to bring more awareness to mental health in our community?
Well, I think coming on the show was one of them, right? Like, this is so cool, by the way. Just getting to sit here and get to tell my story and bring awareness to all of these things that I spoke about today. But I think for myself, I think I want to bring more vulnerability, right, to my relationships. Which means that, like, that's not just, like, me sharing my story, but that's also, like, holding up, a reflection to a friend in moments of crisis, too. I think, like, understanding this stuff has given me a higher standard of living, not just from, like, how I want to treat people, but also, like, how I want to be treated.
Right.
And so, like, coming on the show, talking about it, sticking to my own boundaries, recognizing what I'm feeling when I need it. Like, because I'm also just a person who's out in the world, not one who, like, does all this community stuff and not one who's, like, doing all these things, but I'm a person who has everyday relationship with people.
Right.
And if I bring vulnerability to that, authenticity to that, and a whole lot of compassion, recognizing, like, we are all going through this.
Right.
Like, like, I named, right? Like, even the forced to, like, wake up every day and do the bills, like, that is abusive. We are all really going through some stuff.
Right. Just waking up and getting up out of the bed is tough. It's very tough. So.
And so, like, that's what I think that I can, like, do, right? Like, not just, like, not, like, I want to do this. I want to talk about it. I want to be vulnerable. I want to share about it. I want to hear about other people's experiences so I can be more mindful to the things that are going through. But I want to, like, create the space where I, like even like the things that I do with my friends or the things that I do with my community.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's why I'm holding down First Church of Poetry this year.
Right.
Right. Is because, like, what I recognize is, like, we're all going through this. And when we're in the middle of, like, either fighting each other because hurt people, or fighting, like, against these systems that, like, have us stuck in these perpetual states of violence.
Right.
We don't have enough of this. We don't have enough spaces that will heal us too.
Right.
That will bring us joy too. That will, like, allow for us to, like, share that experience and our anger and our sadness and everything in between, our joy and what makes us happy. Right? Like, I want to hear your stories of being in love and loving the world around you just as much as I want to hear what breaks your heart.
That's beautiful.
Because it affects our mental health. It affects the way that we navigate and exist in this world. And so I want to create more spaces of healing, of more joy, not where you get to be talking about it and be politically aware, and not if you don't want to be, right? Because, like, love is political. Your whole life is political, whether you want to call it that or not. But love is an act,
right?
And so, like, wanting to just create spaces for that and show up that way to everybody I meet, and show up to myself that way.
Absolutely, 100%, and that's key. Show up to yourself in that way.
And it's a journey because, I think, like, going through all these things and, like, living in this world that we're living in, like, and that's why, like, this idea of self-care, right? Like, I want to do more self-care, which, like, means that I'm going to be a healthier person out here in the world doing these things.
100%.
But I also know that we're actually all experiencing a lot of the same similar things. And so what I want is a place that makes it free and accessible and fun for me to come, because even if right when we sing to the choir and we're in those spaces where everybody's talking to each other and we're all talking the same language, knowing that there's a bunch of people out here who aren't, like, I can recognize as a mom who works 3 jobs and who will never get to come to somewhere like the First Church of Poetry, where people get to speak, come receive a message, remind themselves that they are good, great, and can do anything, so I think that's my answer, is just kind of, like, wanting to show my vulnerability, wanting to have compassion, but creating spaces that, like, foster it and allow for us to, like, be fucked up and heal together.
Right. And you're doing it. I see you out there, I definitely see you out there. You're really putting the footwork in and excuse me, putting the footwork in and doing it. Let me get a drink of water real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're out there hustling, grinding. First Church of Poetry is amazing.
And like, even the Sac Poet Society, right? I really love that space. Like, and this is just art stuff, but like that is a space that creates like places for people to come and meet each other, and like work on stuff together. But like just meet each other.
It's healing. It's so healing. I love going there to the Sac Poetry Center and just working on workshops and getting to know people and meeting them. And that's why I have Thursday therapies, because I want to meet everybody and have them on Thursday therapies and talk their story, you know, share it with the world and bring awareness to mental health and heal together and get to know one another.
And I thank you for that opportunity. Like, not only do I get to like come and regurgitate my experience now as like advice or something, but like also getting to like tell everybody who watches, and you, like a new friend of mine that I'm like growing into, you know, together in these last few months.
Yeah.
Getting to like be that vulnerable.
Yes. And it's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been amazing, because it's just like we sit there and go to open mics and then we listen to people's music, but we never know, you know, the person behind the music, because a lot of the shit that we hear at these poetry scenes is deep. Is very deep, and it's just like, okay, I heard your poem, and then I might talk to you for 5 minutes after, and then we're in crossing, and then we see each other like every week or a couple weeks, and we run into each other, but we really just don't get to know who the person is behind the poem. And so that's why I have Thursday therapies, because I really want to get to know who you are as an artist, as a human being, and be able to just share that with other people, other like people, you know, to bring more awareness to mental health. So they might see something in you or myself and say, hey, if they're getting the help that they needed, then maybe I can too, you know, just take that first step. Or if poetry is what brought them to helping themselves, you know, because that's therapeutic, then maybe I should start writing poem. And it just, you know, it just lights a light in somebody. It lights that flame in somebody to get that extra help.
That journaling, I mean, like, I think that's how I started, right? I started writing.
Right.
Like, the world was just so raunchy that I, like, just got a journal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and it took a while for it to even be a consistent thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because it's, but journaling was, like, a start. And to say that, you know, like, yeah, this is what people need to be doing. What you're doing right now is exactly it. Like, I started this community fire that I didn't get to hold because I went through some wild stuff recently, but I used to hold this community fire once a year, or not once a year, once a month, where activists and organizers and people from across Sacramento who are involved in like this front line, like fighting against these systems, trying to like fight for access to choice and opportunity and resource, because people never got to know one another. And so we're like on these front lines together, transactionally, always in these meetings together, never knowing each other's first names, or I'm sorry, last names, or what their favorite colors and stuff were, or even what we did or what we thought about it, or even like what brought you to the work. Like, there was something inside of your body that hurt so much to see the suffering, or to have experienced the suffering, that makes you like want to like be a part of doing something different about it. There, you had to have gone through something to like want to like hold a podcast and make sure that you're creating ripple effects in your community to talk about this stuff. Like, people come to this to this work for a reason, and we don't make enough room to get to know each other because we're too busy either, you know, fighting each other or fighting the state, and we don't have time to sit down. And, you know, oftentimes people never knew the person standing next to them's first name at a protest. Exactly. And those community fire allowed for people to sit down for the first time ever together and be like, oh, okay, hi.
Right.
And, you know, and community was formed out of that. Like, that's the important thing, is to build community and get to know them.
Meaningful community. And that's why I like Thursday therapies, is because now I'm meeting you, you're meeting me, we're, you know, talking some real deep shit, and then everybody around us gets to hear and gets to know the person behind the art, and it's amazing. It's just been amazing.
Like I said, I'm excited for a Jamie's, like I want Jamie's Thursday therapy. Like, I'm like, who's gonna ask Jamie?
Everybody wants to know Jay
who's gonna
Dennett's
ask
story.
Jamie the questions, y'all? Like, I'm like, seriously, I want to hear this. During our hangout here, we've gotten to like chat a little bit, and I just learned so much about Jamie, and Jamie has so much to share and show and tell, and allow for us to learn from.
Yeah, there's
and witness.
there's always a story behind
you're
what's
powerful.
going on. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So excited for Jamie's.
Yes, thank you so much. My next question. So, this is a question kind of for the viewers to know what exactly would be an advantage to seeking outside support, and what is an advantage for yourself, like for seeking support or therapy?
Yeah. I think I kind of alluded to it in the last answer, right? Like doing this by yourself is hard, and almost like they try to make it where we don't have the time and almost impossible.
Right.
Let alone if we don't have access to the resource, then like even more. They make sure it feels impossible.
Right.
And they make sure that we feel so alone.
Right.
That's how they win this stuff, is when we feel like we're the only ones feeling like this and things like that. So like I think the advantage off top is just one, realizing you're not alone.
Yes.
Like you're not. I'm a big fan of therapy. I've been in therapy every Sunday for the last 4 years, for lack of a better word. It's like church.
It is.
But also like these concepts of self-care, and like that's why I'm talking. Like we have to create more spaces for each other.
Yes.
We have to like build it into our relationship practices.
Yes.
Like we need to build it into our group activities. We have to
definitely
be making sure that we're like holding space for us being whole as people.
Right.
The whole time.
Right.
It's like how we get to like liberation is when we finally just hold each other.
Right. Yes.
I won't want to fight you if you're holding me.
Exactly.
With my consent, of course, but that's part of the revolution.
Yes.
Definitely. So.
Yes. Yes. So you already answered all the questions that I just had. Is do you believe in therapy and do you trust therapy? Of course you do.
Yeah, I do.
You
I
know?
think I want to name Leo. I think I'm learning in my journey of therapy. This is why I'm so avid on this idea of collective care.
Right.
Is that even in therapy, a lot of the onus and a lot of the work is like put onto the individual who's like already going through the things. And it's very Western, and I think some of it's thought about like in the sense of individualism and things like that. And, I've done a lot of unlearning of stuff that I have recently learned around like how to do self-care and take care of yourself and what boundaries are and, and how like they teach like it automatically means severance and like you mean you have to cut people off. But like in a collective world where we're trying to fight for collective liberation and live collectively, that means that we have to like figure out how to do this collectively. And the truth is knowing we're all like messed up and stuff. Like, okay, there was a woman that I learned from that was like, we have to acknowledge not everybody is safe to repair with. Right.
That part.
That exists, but it also I think is like what fuels our quickness of like severance and stuff like that because of this like punitive nature, also like survival mode that we get put into, like just also they teach it as like a very individualist like kind of thing, and with the recognition not everybody is safe to repair with. I honestly though, I mean in my grand scheme of life, most of the people I meet are good. And we're fucked up, but we're good.
We're fucked up, but good.
And,
That's good.
And the repair doesn't always have to look so, or the cutoff or anything like that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't have to look like this. I want to live in a world where we're not building prison walls over schools, right? So that means we have to come up with ways to like tackle some of our hardest conversations and the hardest things that we experience. But it doesn't change the fact that like I said, if we're holding each other, I ain't gonna want to fight you.
Right.
And
we should hold each other up. We should, but it's difficult and life is hard, and everybody's out here really just trying to make it. Really just trying to make it. Really just trying to make it. You know?
I'm like, have I made it yet?
Right.
What is it?
What is it?
Almost feels fleeting. Like forever, this just
But-
like never-ending goalpost.
For real, like it does. And it does. Like they say, with even like raising a child, it takes a village. So community definitely for self-care and seeking therapy and seeking outside help. It really, you know, individually, you're the one who has to do it because you are the creator of your world, and it is you who you know, will determine what type of world you're going to live in. And so either you can dwell on the past, you know, or you can reach out for help and reach out to community and get the help. And some people just don't know how to.
Yeah.
And some people just really don't know how to.
I think one of the coolest things of like, this is why I'm such a big advocate though, because like, yeah, I can give it some critique, but the real reason that I like loved it the most was because like the truth is like hurt people.
Right.
Right. So not only am I knowing that I'm sad and I'm hurting, but I can also recognize that I'm like hurting other people around me.
Right.
And so the beautiful journey that therapy took me on over the last few years has been this like, okay, well, let's talk about how I got here.
Right.
Right. So that was like this, like, I had to find immense holding and compassion and sit in a whole bunch of like sadness and trauma and like all the things, but to like come to loving me again.
Right.
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 And then, which made it easier for the next part. Because then when you're like, oh, okay, well, okay, now I know why I'm like this.
Right.
And okay, cool. And I can do something about this.
Right.
And I can acknowledge things, and I can understand, and I have language now of like, this is my boundary, and this is what I won't tolerate, and this is also like how I want to show up this way too. But, and which brings me to the other part of like, okay, well, dang, now I can like acknowledge and hold space for all that I've gone through.
Yeah.
And all the suffering that I've seen in the world.
Yeah.
But now I have to hold the suffering that I have caused.
Right. That part.
Because of the suffering
Absolutely.
of it all. And finding compassion and going through all that suffering and watching the suffering allow for me to have compassion for self.
Right.
With a new lens of like a new standard that I wanted to hold myself to.
Absolutely. Instead of holding on to that guilt and shame.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And talking about these things out loud.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable has really, 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 really changed the game, you know, even if it was just like one person, my therapist,
right,
you know, but even than that, like now I'm encouraged to like share all of me
right,
with everyone around me with better understanding of who I'm about to let around me.
100%,
you know,
100%. Yeah, no. So yeah, there's a great advantage of seeking therapy. And a lot of people do other things, you know, they go to church or they, you know, there's a lot of things you could do that are therapeutic for your mind and mental health.
Yoga, breathing, art,
all of that. Yes.
Church, spirit.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
So many things. Connection,
human connection.
Any way that you can find connection.
Healthy human connection.
To other people or the world and the universe around you, I think is what brings you back.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely. So my next question is, who else can offer helpful support in managing your mental health other than a therapist? Because like we said, just talked about community and, you know, sometimes people are like, oh, I have a safe friend or something like that. But, you know, not all friends are safe. They have biases and sometimes it's not healthy and it's toxic, but there's definitely coaches. What other types of people are out there that are in your support system?
Okay. In my support system, it really is like friends, a therapist. Sometimes my mom, I love you. I'm going to say that again. But also, hurt people. And I'm walking around the world pretty hurt.
Right.
Just loving you.
Yeah.
And hurt. Or was hurt.
Yeah.
And working through that. And so, like, sometimes my parents, but I think, like, whose job should it be? The cities, the counties, the states, the world, like where's the money at? Yeah. We talked about why we live in these perpetual states of violence. Like, where's the money at for our resources and access to good, to learning these things? Why is this stuff not in schools?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Why is it not in schools? Why does so that's what I think it is. But in our world is like, my biggest suggestion is like I know for surely there's always like a 988 line, right? Like that's a
Yes.
phone. Like there's
Suicide hotline.
there's always a phone number to call with a complete stranger, but like trying to find the things that like hold you on will help you find the people
Yes,
that
definitely.
will help you hold on.
Definitely.
And so right now it's like been friends. It's also been myself. It's been my son. It's been the people around me because life is hard and it hasn't changed.
Right.
I'm 35. I've gone through a lot and I'm not even halfway there yet.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it will still be like. But it has been in my connection that I have found a lot. So my friends.
Nice.
And then when you're all by yourself, there are support groups where, like I said, this is what I mean is if you find the either something that like calls to you, or if you reach out, there's a group, there's somebody, there's
Right.
definitely, even scrolling on Reddit, like you'll read, like there's so many people, even if you want to anonymously write your story on Reddit,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like, there are ways to like get it out there, get connection,
Yes.
that doesn't require you to like be an extrovert or be confident or and like I'm just thinking because I'm like, oh dang, what is in my support network?
We
Like
do
I have
workshops,
I mean, yeah,
First
but
Church of Poetry.
it's exactly
those are kind of,
you know what I mean, but that was me
community.
finding connection and
Right.
like and so in my life, yeah, I've got like friends and poets
Yeah.
and communities and groups that I can go to. I want to tell y'all about them, like you can definitely come to the First Church of Poetry. Unfortunately, we have our last feature poet of the season this Sunday. But after that, I don't particularly have a space for folks to come to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Sac Poet Society does weekly pretty much weekly workshops on Thursdays throughout the month. There is an art therapy that I'll shout out. Sac Poets, there's a poet that does who is a registered therapist and holds an art therapy space where people come in and tackle like a big conversation.
Nice.
Like I remember the one they did on grief. I was like, oh girl,
Yes.
you are bold to
Yes.
have, because like the other ones were like identity or in intersections but to talk about grief, that's like that's the culmination of it all.
With Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? With Taylor. Shout out to Taylor.
Shout out to Taylor. I love Taylor.
But when they want to do collectively the grief, I was like, that is the culmination of all these experiences. Like that, you're gonna hold everything in that conversation.
Definitely.
But holy moly.
Yeah. No, those
the
are
way
great.
it was held.
Those are great.
I'm like, but I've also, like I've just talked. I mean, that's what I mean. Is like I think it's so important to like remind people that the access to connection
Yes.
is not as far as we think. It can be from your keyboard or from your phone. It doesn't have to be in person.
Right.
And that's what I think. What I want to encourage is like because I speak on minds about like I'm lucky I'm surrounded by a community, and then I think about somebody who I know isn't.
Right.
And that.
Really
And what would I do if I didn't have my community?
Right.
And then that's what comes off the top of my head. I'd be like reaching out to a phone number. I'd be like anonymously writing my story on Reddit. I'd be like screaming into the void and waiting for something to catch it.
Nice.
And I think, and it's okay to do. Like, please do it. We are here to listen. People. We're good. We're all good. We actually most of us love, and we want to love,
and we want to be loved.
And we want to be loved. How to do that healthily is one of the biggest feats of our time. Right. Because we've all gone through so much, and and it's not over tomorrow.
Right. And I think the first part is learning to love ourselves, so that we don't allow those hurt people to continue to come in our lives and hurt us.
Mm-hmm. And like loving, and like in that loving of yourself, you can like find that through like also validation from others, but like really this like idea of like being comfortable with yourself.
Right.
You know, but that also being comfortable with yourself means you have to like look at a couple of things too.
It takes time.
It does take time.
It takes time.
That's why people call it like shadow work,
Right.
Or like and all that stuff, because it actually like, oh, okay, you're taking account of you and your life and all the things that you've done.
Right. Good, bad,
and in between.
In between, absolutely.
And outside of both of those, you know,
and it's
like,
uncomfortable.
It can be. It
Right.
can be, but that's another reason why I think simultaneously, like, the community part is so necessary.
Absolutely.
Because, like, then somebody can get lost
Right.
doing that deep dive.
Yeah.
And actually run themselves into self-sabotage.
Right.
Which makes
Some
it even
scary
harder
positions.
to come out of. Like, right? I saw my mom, you know, go through that. Like,
Yeah.
like, gosh, I wonder what it would have been like had we been at, like, and don't get it twisted. We were working from like what we knew and how to know, but like I wonder if there was more of like a open arms kind of like,
Right.
like we love you, and like kind of like grip on my mom. Would my mom have spent so much time using, because she didn't want to,
Right.
you know, but then she had no connection,
Right.
which meant that she just kept using, and then probably felt really bad about like all of the stuff and like what she was going through. She also went through a lot of domestic violence. Like I grew up in a lot of this. Like
Yeah.
I remember beating up 15 years old, beating grown men because they thought they could touch me or my mom. You know what I mean? Like, and so, but my mom didn't have that the support, the community support,
Right.
to pull her out of that like perpetual cycle and perpetual state of like living in it, feeling like you deserve it because you've chosen it, and like you know what I mean. So
I know
like,
exactly what you mean.
so like I love like this, because we do have to be able to love ourselves.
Right.
But sometimes we need to be able to be shown ourselves when the only thing we can see about ourselves is that we are not good.
Right.
Like you are good, and that requires something outside of you in that moment to be like, let me show you who you are, because
Yeah.
you're also, my mom is funny, smart, beautiful,
Yes,
creative. My
more
mom,
than.
that's where I get my creativity from.
Yeah.
But I at 15, and like nobody in the world, we were all by ourselves out here. Like we don't have extended family, and like there was just nobody to like love my mom when she needed it the most.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. I
Or
get it.
loved any of the people that I like watch experiencing this on a daily basis, because like this is my childhood story, but like I work now. This is my work now, part
Yeah.
of it at least, and it's rampant. There is no community like loving on people who are going through crisis. Instead, we meet them with jail cells and guns and guards.
Yeah. We got to change that.
You know,
Yeah.
or cutting you off, or because you're lazy or a drug user. That's just bad. Like we can't. It's so punitive. We're even punitive, not just the state, but people.
Right.
You know, and hurt people.
Hurt people. Yeah.
So
No, that's it.
community is a big one, I think.
Great. So my next question, that was deep. That was heavy. That was deep. You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my next
Thank
question
you.
is, what are some coping skills you use to get you through the day, through hard times?
Yeah. Like I said, well, I've got my therapy, but art. I think when I don't feel well,
Okay.
I make art.
Nice.
I use a couple of different mediums. I do clay painting, screen printing. Like I love guerrilla installations. Like one time I was feeling so bad that I threw up a whole art installation across Sacramento City. That was very loud and obnoxious, and very politically charged. And so art, but I really like clay. Clay, I love when you can make art with both hands. It puts you into like a bit of like a flow state.
Nice.
Like I believe like when we're creating, we are in touch with creation.
Right.
And so that one is a really good one. I love the water. I have found that like the water is a place that heals me. I'm a big person, so there isn't anywhere in the world that can like anyone in the world that can just like wrap me up and hold me, because like I know physical touch is also one of my love languages. When I'm sad, just pet me on my head and tell me I'm pretty. But water is like something that is is a thing that can hold all of
Oh,
me.
yes. So soothing.
So
Beautiful.
shower, going to the river,
Yes.
holding myself like that. I'll find an event and I'll take myself there. That's usually like music or poetry oriented. Like I
Nice.
listened to the poets in Sacramento for years before I ever spoke one,
Wow.
because they filled my cup. I was I was doing all this work, and it was like soaking in the creativity that like filled me back up.
Nice.
And I'm not even perfect about any of this either. You know what I mean? Like I am still not the greatest. Like I'm still working to like honor my feelings and check in with them.
Right.
You know?
Well, what's perfect and who's perfect? You know, it's a lifelong journey of healing and taking care of yourself.
So I'm trying to get better at that. I want to be more consciously aware of that, which means it's something I want to consciously work on in my life right now, is to be a better listener.
Yes.
You know, that way, like, because I feel like all this work I've done has me ready to affirmatively speak, like, nah, that wasn't cool, or don't do this, or this hurts.
Right.
But I want to be able to hear better.
Yes.
That wasn't cool, this hurts, and without sending me into like this like crazy place of like, oh, I'm not bad, I promise. Like, yeah,
Right.
we know that, Mackie. Most of us are not bad. We know that.
Yes.
Why we still act like it's like that, I don't know. But yeah, so those are things I'm willing to be okay with making the mistake. I think that's right. Like I find these like cool things of like coping mechanisms. But another one that I had to like learn was how to cope when I don't do it right. Because I do have this new standard.
Yes.
And of that I want to show up at and be loved at. And so like when I don't do it right.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, that's what I always like to say is like we're all human, and you know, if you make a mistake, oh well, nobody's perfect. What's perfect? You know, we're just here trying to make it. Everybody out here trying to make it. And so, you know, just be your authentic self and love you. Just love you.
And I'm trying to get better at reaching out too. That's like, I think, been a good coping mechanism.
I have a hard time with that too.
But me too.
It's hard.
Me too. You know, I have CPTSD from a lot of everything I've gone through, like literally. And so my ability to trust relationships is actually hard.
It's difficult.
It's super hard because the truth is like I'm scared you're just gonna hurt me. But it has been in being more vulnerable that I've actually found the most healing.
Definitely.
And I didn't even know that, which is why, again, I was such a big proponent of like, it's also a collective community thing.
Absolutely.
Because like, I also needed, in order to get over the fear that everybody's going to hurt me, I had to be shown that people weren't going to do that.
Right. That people were going to love you. There's still people out there that are going to love you.
You know, and still not everybody gets it right. I think because of my new standards, I think I said to you in one of our breaks, like, I've had more conflicts in the last few years than I have in my life. And I think it's because of the new standards, right?
Yeah.
Like not only like the new standards of like what I expect you to be, but also like the standards of like what I hold myself to be too. And that means like I've lost some friends,
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily help me with my like fear that people are just gonna hurt me because it hurt.
Yeah.
But it has been.
But you have to protect yourself at the same time. And it's just like, you don't have to lose love for those friends. You could always love them from a distance.
100.
Always.
That's what,
you know?
That's what I've learned. I don't hate anybody.
Never. Never.
I just love you from over here, like an arm's length away.
Right.
Because again, most of us are good. Like those people weren't awful, horrible, mean, disgusting, horrible people. They just, we have different values and principles, and
different
we're
paths.
On different wavelengths.
Definitely.
And if you want to do a journey, I invite you to do it. If you don't, like, okay.
Yeah.
But also know that you're going to keep feeling these ways.
Right.
And not be able to see something else.
Right.
So yeah, being willing to check in is also something that I'm trying. And it's, like I said, it's brought me more healing and brought me more intimacy which, you know, I learned recently in Taylor's, shout out Taylor's grief workshop, that I learned from a friend, Molly, who talked about grief being a guide, and it changed my life, because like I'm a person that like recognizes like we're here to like experience all things from love to grief.
Right.
You can't really, you know, grief is I read the echo of love, the aftershock of meaning, and for her to have described grief as a guide that has brought her closer to the life she is fighting for that kind of changed my outlook on like all of this stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and with the recognition I can still love you and from afar and no shade,
Right.
because the light, the guide of grief, you know, from having to walk away or having to, you know, go through these growth pains is like bringing me to what I do want.
Right.
And it's been very powerful to be willing to sit in the grief. I think like a lot of mental health stuff comes from not being able to talk about the grief.
Yeah.
It lives in your body all by yourself, and it literally physically manifests
Yes.
in symptom and in the way that you navigate and interact with the world around you
100%.
and all that stuff. So that's also been something that I've been working on, right? Is like really being okay, like wanting to write a love letter to the grief,
Nice.
wanting to sit in these feelings
Okay.
and know what's going on.
That's beautiful. So you answered a lot of my next question is, what do you do for self-care?
I should be getting more. I should be stretching more, and doing better. Better breathing practices and probably eating better. I think right now because I just went through some crazy stuff. That's for another podcast, another time. For the last year and a half, that had to do with mental health and severe mental health, you know, and folks' unchecked mental health, or also unheld too by community mental health. And I'm in this place where I'm like, I've gained a little bit of weight. I've like drinking a lot of chocolate milk. I don't drink. I drink chocolate milk. It's pretty. I've gained quite a little bit of weight. It's okay. I love this for me. It's cute. I've always looked better with chubbier cheeks. But I've been okay with just resting.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I've been doing a lot of, is recognizing when I just need to lay the fuck down. And even if that means that I have to like let a friend down or put something off a little bit, I will, because I need to like honor that my body is exhausted. It's also gone through a lot for the last many years, not just these ones. We all have our whole lives. So I'm honoring just the fact that I'm like, okay to rest and drink a lot of chocolate milk. I think historically though, my practices have been like taking myself to the water, has been doing, you know, communing, you know, so I'll like pull tarot and just being like very, very intentional with the universe around me, trying to be connected to all the energy that exists. So very spiritual practices, as well as eating good food. You know, like I love my green smoothies. Right now, chocolate milk is winning out, but I also love my green smoothies, where they're like full of like kale and spinach, and I'll always throw like some crazy stuff in there. So treating my body that way is like just making sure that I have like a pack of healthy stuff in there. And then, you know, it's okay to dissociate a little bit. Sometimes I'll just like binge watch a television show for a few days, or sometimes I'll disappear into a video game for a minute. But I do want to get more nature. I feel like after the last year, I've spent less time outdoors and doing the naturey parts of that and the smoothies. But otherwise, yeah, how I do self-care and honoring my stuff, and also making art. I'll always throw that out there. Making art. Please write. Please make art, even if you just draw it in stick figure form, or just literally throw paint at a canvas.
Nice.
I swear to God, it's gonna do so much for you. I promise.
Dope. Mm-hmm. So my next question is, what can you tell the listeners to encourage them to check themselves, check their mental health, that it's okay to get help?
Ooh.
And your camera's that way.
The words that I want to give as encouragement to do this stuff is have compassion with yourself. Recognize that we are all going through this. Recognize that this is hard, and that you are deserving of all kinds of love and light, right? Because I think in order to get to acknowledging that maybe you have to check something, or check mental health, or get help with something, or look into something, means that you have to be kind enough to yourself to admit that there is something not feeling so good. And that means that could manifest itself in ways that you like respond in relationships or respond to people around you, or the way that it like maybe doesn't allow for you to interact with the world being your most authentic and most vulnerable and beautiful self. Right? But it's in that hard, I think that's the hardest part.
Yes.
Is like being like, okay, well this, yeah, that was a rude awakening the day that I like sat down and was like, whoa, why do I feel like this? And then realizing like, oh, it's because of all of these things, including the things I've done, not just like the things I've gone through,
right.
but like the things I've done. And I like, and there's something not wrong. I don't want to call it, because none of us are wrong, right? But there is something that does not make me feel good.
Yeah.
It's what makes me this angry or this sad. And being able to admit that will like, and then have the compassion for yourself in that and the world around you in that is the most important piece, because the moment you decide you're worth it is the moment that I think you like seek what it is that you're looking for in one form or another. And my only advice is to please seek in yourself all the parts of yourself. I want you to like love the parts of you that are so loving, and I want you to love the parts of you that are not loving, while also being able to tell yourself that it is okay to love better, because we all deserve it. Not just you, not just me, not just you, all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you. That's great advice. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, it is so true. We all deserve to be loved. All deserve to be loved. Definitely. Definitely.
And maybe it'll give you, and you know, I think it's the thing that gives me just a second more willingness to pause when I'm up against somebody who wants to test me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like where I'm like, you're probably having a bad day.
Right. That part.
When like I come from a place where we like chunk that out.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what'd you say?
Right. You
I had to be like, have a good day.
Have a great day.
Because I got to protect my peace just as much as I actually don't want to add
right
to the disruption that is already
100%. That's great. That's great. So let's switch gears.
Okay.
That was great. Thank you. Let's switch gears.
Okay.
Do you have a poem you want to share? Do you have a piece or anything you wanna share with everybody? If you need your phone, you can get it.
Yeah, I would grab my phone if I need. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of what I like. You know what? Okay. I have a poem about like an experience I've had with like mental health and like through a partner and stuff, but I think this conversation makes me think of the poem that I actually just read at the First Church of Poetry on Sunday.
Okay.
At some point, everybody started getting up and talking about love. And shout out to Natachi Mez. That was one of the most powerful performances I've ever gotten to like sit and connect with.
Wow.
It was very, very cool. And then everybody just kind of like flowed together.
Nice.
So I'm going to do this like spiritual mind treatment is what it is. It's an affirmative prayer where you like, right? You just like connect with everything that there is around you. You are, if for lack of a better word, right, God. But if God is all there is, like that's the acknowledgement. Like God is all there is. That love is all there is. That's what I called for, right? Love is all there is. And then because love is all there is, the next part is the unification, which should be kind of easy, because if it is all things, that means it is you too.
Yes.
So if I know that love is all there is, then I'm like love and you are love.
Yes.
And then you set the intention, or you say like what it is, the affirmation. And at the end of that, you give thanks for it, and then you release it, knowing that it like already is.
Nice.
And into the universe to see what's up. And so I will read that one. It is a little bit of a lengthier poem. For my friends who are watching this who've already heard it, you can turn off now if you want to.
No, don't turn it off.
Yeah, don't turn off, because we're going to tell you to follow, like, and subscribe here in a second, and tell you all the ways to follow Mack and follow Jamie and know what's going on. So don't click off. Because honestly, and if you guys are our friends, you should already be doing that. But
Right.
just
Facts.
No shade, no shade.
Thank you. Thank you, Mac. I love that. Yes. Like, subscribe, comment. Yes.
No,
Yes.
yeah. So
tell your friend. Tell
hold
your
on a
friends to tell a
second.
friend.
Bear with us. Bear with us. So yeah, this one is called "Love Is All There Is." I know that love is all there is. It's in the air I breathe, the words I speak. It's in every person I see. I see it sitting in these seats. I mean, it's in all things, really. Love is in schools that foster our creative minds. They don't have us saluting to long dead and harmful white men or condition us as we prepare for exploitation. Instead, the classrooms are set up in circles because love knows that learning is not linear. The lessons are not just about how to read and write, but they teach us how to create and innovate instead of how to work to survive. Love is growing up with access to parks, to healthcare, to joy, to opportunity, to housing and stability, to healthy food and community gardens with more than enough. One day it looks like communal kitchens and pubs that don't look like us serving each other for money, but instead we just show up with our own stuff, some from those gardens, because love knows that we love to create for each other and eat and drink together. One day it looks like care and education in our communities that aren't transactional and won't charge us an insurance bill or have us living in student debt to become a doctor. Instead, it looks like that non-linear learning that shares and fosters our ability to teach each other because love knows we love to care for one another. Love is access to love when we don't feel well or when we don't do something right. Love is there when we're tired or when we say our screws are too loose or even too tight. Love shows up most when we don't do love. Love shows up the hardest in those moments because even love knows you wouldn't be able to know love or be love without knowing the feeling of or having the ability to hurt and to hate. Love is investing in learning love. Love of self, love of each other, love of our planet, love of our limitless potential, just as expansive as the limitless universe and its limitless love. Love is admitting when we are wrong because love will allow us to admit it without fear or guilt or shame. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is making decisions with intention. Love is putting our creative minds together to find the solutions that are best for us and our children's futures. Love is investing in the love of us. Love does not isolate. Love does not harm. Love does not lock us up and throw away the key. Love is not poverty and crisis and trauma treated with jail cells and guns and guards. Love is showing up so hard that we don't need jail walls because love knows that love is built by education, healthy food, housing stability, access to choice and opportunity, resources, support for our mental health, and shows us how to experience all the things in healthy ways, from drugs to healthy relationships with ourselves and the world around us. Love is in neighborhoods, not just as events and parks and commons for us to hang out at together, but as centers that support us through all the things that do not make us feel love. Love is transportation to love. Love is universal access to the ways that we make sure that we can see in the dark, keep ourselves warm, share information, and stay connected to each other and to love. Love is decision-making spaces big enough and accessible enough for all of our different voices, different able body types, and our different forms of love. Love is not poverty. Love is not austerity. Love is not being stuck in a rat race, chasing paper to survive, and then punished for not being able to play by the rules when we make up our own or when we are simply too tired to keep going. Love is letting us rest. Love is fostering our ability to know what we need, how to have boundaries, and how to say no. Love is recognizing when things aren't love. Love is about the presence of all things, not its absence. Love is a verb. Love is a doing word. Love is abundance, and love is care, and love is freedom. And with love like that, we don't need cages. I give thanks for love. I'm in awe of love. I am in awe of the love that could even make these words and these ideas exist. I am humbled that I am just a piece of that love. And because I recognize the love in all of you, I am grateful for your love too. Together, our love is what makes this love come true.
Yes.
And with that, I release these words to all of you and into the creative mind that has already said, love is all there is, and so it is. Amen.
Wow. Yes, I love that. I love
that. It was
that.
kind of long one,
yes, no, that was
this-
beautiful to hear.
That's what this
I love
made me think.
listening to. Yeah, no, love. We just need more love. Love is everything. Love is all we need. Love is you. Love
It's
is
so
me.
cheesy. Love is all we need,
Love
but
is
it
all
is. Love is you.
right.
Love is me. Exactly.
It is. You know, it is. It's so easy. It's cheesy, but it is. It's the truth.
It really
you know, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I usually ask, do you have some upcoming events? You say you have the last First Church of Poetry coming up this Sunday with who's the feature?
Yeah, so this Sunday in McKinley Garden by the Rose. This Sunday at McKinley Park by the Rose Garden. Every Sunday through the months of April and May, we do a free open mic, free feature poet. Always ask people to come and sit out with us in the sunshine and touch grass and get a message for the day. Right. So this is the last one, May 25th. The featured poet is Asantua Boykin. I'm really excited for this person. They have been a really great friend in my life, like whether we're getting together to like talk about how to fight the state or fight or make art or what is the universe, like really dope, beautiful person. But they also are a co-founder of the local anti-police, or not local, but California's Anti-Police Terror Project.
Nice.
She's here in Sacramento. We're really lucky to have her here. She launched the Anti-Police Terror Project Sacramento chapter. I was lucky to be a part of that.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, she'll come and bring you some dope-ass poetry, some really great words. As for, like, projects after this, right now they're secret. I feel so fun. I think it's funny that they're all secret right now. But if you follow me, it's at social, like on all the social platforms. I'm social arsonist, social _arsonist on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. One more time, social _arsonist. You'll be able to follow those. But if you follow, like, we're building this cool community. So if you follow Sac Poets on Instagram or FCOP916 on Instagram, you'll be able to find out about those coming up.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yeah, that was it. That was amazing. Check yourself, check your mental health. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, subscribe, comment, follow Mack.
Comment, right? That's what I just learned. I was like, learned that hashtags are dead, y'all. Comment.
Hashtags are dead. Yeah. Comment. Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, literally, hashtags are dead. Like, they don't work anymore. If you want to use them, use them. I always create funny ones. But it's the comment. If we engage,
that's the best thing. It's just like so many people will watch and not say anything, but they have just drop a little piece.
Who'd have thought that our engagement with it is what would show them that we like the stuff?
Right.
And they'd finally just build an algorithm around it. Wow.
Right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Check yourself. Check your mental health.
That's Moses, stupid.
Compare me to my motherfucker.